into this is Yamina, and in today's video, I'm gonna be talking about prettiness and finding out I was pretty in Louisiana. So to start off this video, there was something on Instagram. I think it was definitely before the pandemic. There was this actor named, I think her name is Ashley, and she's beautiful. And she showed this video on Instagram where this videographer or photographer was showing her some mirror. I don't remember if it was a videographer or photographer or if it was a person particularly with special mirrors, but this person had mirrors that showed you how you looked to yourself and showed you how you looked to other people. And I was just like, whoa. And you could see the difference, but you could also see the difference in her facial expression when she was looking at herself the way other people saw her. And it was, I think I started crying when I saw that because I was like, that's so cute. Like, and she, to me, she's actually beautiful. And I was like, the look in her eyes when she was looking at herself the way other people saw her was just such an exquisite thing to see. I was just like, that is a beautiful experience to have and to actually be able to witness that. And we don't get to see ourselves the way others see us. And when I was growing up, I dealt with like being insecure, being a hormonal teenager, having like very bad acne that wasn't able to be controlled with everything that my mom gave me to clean my face. I did get my hair relaxed because I felt like it was easier to deal with my hair being relaxed, and I was able to like manage it myself. Like my mom would relax my hair, but I was able to take care of my hair after it was relaxed all the other ways, because prior to that my mom took care of my hair up until I started getting it relaxed. So like she did it on a weekly basis. So that was a new thing that I had to take care of, and like figuring out what hairstyles that I liked on myself and what I thought looked cute. Experimented so much with my hair. So I did not always feel pretty like growing up, and having acne that was, a mood downer. Like that was not good for the confidence. But I also have always been an extrovert, always been a people person, always liked who I liked when it came to like friendships. I always made sure my friends knew how I felt about them. And I just grew into being comfortable with myself. And when I went to college is when I was able to get something to fix my acne. So that was helpful. And I started to find out that at college is when I first realized that I was being treated as pretty. And I was just like, oh, this is interesting. So if I was interested in someone romantically, that never worked out most of the time. But people would show interest in me, and I didn't realize, oh, I'm pretty. I was less like, oh, this is just a nice person. This is a nice guy. And I didn't like really take it seriously, that I didn't internalize it that I was pretty. I was just like, oh, this is just some nice person who thinks that I want their money, or this is some nice person who wants to hold an umbrella for me, or this is a nice person who likes hanging out with me. So when I was the one showing the interest, the romantic interest in people who didn't become my friends, like it was never reciprocated. So I didn't always feel like I was pretty, I guess, back then in college, but I was treated like I was pretty. And there were times when it was like I was possibly dealing with like racism just from random women, but also there are women who act weird when they think you're pretty, and they'll act weird towards you. But there was one case that I think this woman was actually racist. So anyway, but yeah, I was starting to experience being treated as pretty. And even though like there weren't people fawning over me all the time, and it wasn't like a big old thing, I was definitely getting that treatment. But at the same time, I was also growing out my relaxer in college. So that was a process, and I had to learn how to like make my hair look right, because there are certain hairstyles that I think flatter my face, and there are certain hairstyles that I don't think flatter my face. So I had to figure that out as I was growing up in college as well. So that college was a different experience. Like, people off campus were acting like I was pretty. People were being weird as well, like just being predatory in ways, and I was just like, stay away from me with that kind of energy. But yeah, so I was starting to realize, oh, okay, okay, I am pretty to some people, right? So that was interesting. And then I started associating with Jehovah's Witnesses straight out of college, and I got baptized in 8 months, because that was the religion that I had been raised in as a little girl. So that was easy for me to come back to. And I started being treated like I was pretty by some people, like a threat by other people, and like a specimen to other people. So people would like be watching me like really closely, and other people would be like being a little catty. Other people would be like, oh, I'm older than you, so you have to respect your elders, even though there was only an age difference, a 1 year difference, sorry. And this was one of my pretty friends who was married, who was like trying to lord it over me that she was older than me by a year and I had to respect my elders. And I was like, I didn't realize it might have been a pretty thing, because she was pretty herself and she had a handsome husband. And I was just like, what is this? Like, I thought we were cool. Like, who cares that you're older than me by a year? Who wants to be older? Who wants to be older? Like, yeah. So I was just like, okay, that's weird. So the different little things, I didn't like always chalk it up to like, oh, this person thinks I'm pretty. I'm just like, oh, that person's weird. Like, that's bad, weird energy to be given towards someone who's from your same religion, who's a nice person. So yeah, over the years, like, people would be like, well, I also had to check my energy. So there would be times when I'd be like too extroverted, especially if I had coffee. So I had to like check that. But people would be like watching me, and I wouldn't realize they were watching me until I would like clock what was going on in my surroundings. When I was like at a social event or at one of our big assemblies, big conventions, I would be like, oh, this person looking at me, what's going on here? So I was not paying attention all the time to like who was noticing me, because I was just like, I'm just myself. I'm being comfortable with myself. I learned how to dress a little bit better, and I was learning how to take care of my hair better a little bit when I was starting to associate with the witnesses again. And yeah, so I would get treated like pretty in the congregations, but also like people would be like catty, married people, single people, sometimes catty. Not all the time. It's not everybody. There would be some men who would be trying to like become my father, and I'm just like, I don't need a father. Like, I already have one, and I didn't grow up with him, so stop. So, and I was grown. So just people being weird, and I don't know if it was always that I was pretty or that I was young and people wanted to like take me under their wings, or they just wanted to like control me. But I was just like, not me, because I am not controllable. I don't like that. I don't like people trying to control me, trying to put words in my mouth, trying to tell me what I'm thinking when I am not thinking that. So I was noticing things, but it didn't always make me realize, oh, this person thinks I'm pretty. I was just like, oh, this person is kind of meaner than I thought they were. Like, this person is not being as considerate as I thought they were being. And it turns out it could have been that they were like perceiving me to be pretty, perceiving me to like possibly be flirting with their husband, when I was literally not flirting with anyone's husband, because I don't want anyone's husband at all. And I was dealing with that. Oh, and speaking of that, um, this did not solidify to me that I was pretty. It just made me extremely uncomfortable. But there was a married couple, and I was trying to be friends with the wife because At this point, I was only interested in dating guys. I had, for the years that I've been a witness, I had a crush on different guys over the years, and I let them know, but they weren't interested. But that didn't faze me because marriage is supposed to be permanent, and I don't want to be married to someone who's not interested in me equally. So it worked out just fine. But what was my point? So my point is that I was trying to be friends with this lady because we were the same age and she was a mom. But I was trying to be friends with her, and they were a good looking couple. And I started realizing that the husband was always staring at me. And when we were at social settings, I was realizing that the husband would like come from out of nowhere and sit across from me and stare at me. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is actually happening. I'm moving out of here. So I would like stay away from him. And we were in different congregations. So back then there was like 8 congregations of Jehovah's Witnesses locally. And I was like, it was like most of us know each other. Most of the people here grew up with each other. So I had to get to know everybody else. But this couple was in a different congregation from me. And I was glad because I didn't like that kind of attention from a married man. And I was so scared when he moved to our congregation. Him and his family moved to my congregation. It is not common for witnesses to move from one congregation to another for no reason. And it made me so uncomfortable. And the wife clocked what was going on, but that made her stay away from me. Like, she didn't really want to be friends with me because of how her husband was acting. And I was like, I don't want any parts of this. So that was an incident where I was realizing that I was attracting attention from, I guess, the way I looked, even though I didn't always feel like comfortable with the way I looked. Like, I didn't like my side profile back then, and I did not always feel pretty. Like, and I was all like having bad hair days back then too. So that didn't help. But I would have bad face days, like feeling like I wasn't feeling pretty that day. I would have bad hair days back then. And so to have this man who was married paying attention to me just made me super uncomfortable. And thankfully they moved out of our congregation at some point. I don't know when, no why, no how, but they moved, and I was very happy because I wasn't able to be friends with the wife because of the way the husband was acting. I didn't feel comfortable being around the husband because of how he was acting. So that all happened, and like I wasn't always feeling 100% comfortable with myself. I wasn't always feeling 100% like I don't like being stared at by strangers. So if somebody's like trying to give me a compliment by staring at me, I could take it as an offense because I'm like, that's weird. Like, say something instead of staring at me silently like a creep. So I don't like that. So that happened. So I was still growing into myself, trying to become more comfortable with who I was. And a number of years ago, I was on a bus and I was reading more than likely on a bus, and a man said to me, he said, "Hey miss, I just want to say you're so beautiful, you make me believe in God." And I was just like, whoa, that's nice. And I said, I believe in God too, like not because of me, but because of all of us are beautiful, something like that I said. And I was like, but thank you. So that compliment was like, it wasn't even it wasn't even a mood boost. It was just so nice to hear, and especially to like give credit to God because God created all of us. So I appreciated that a lot because people complimenting features of mine is nice depending on how they compliment it. Sexual harassment is not it. Like, yeah. So people complimenting features by harassing me, not it. But people complimenting me on things that they see that makes me appealing or pretty to them or have a nice personality to them is nice. So I was just like, that was a great compliment and I appreciated it. So finding out that, okay, so getting into finding out I was pretty in Louisiana. So I would say So I would say, okay, so I found out like I had like family ties to Louisiana Creole in like 2015, maybe 2016 from my auntie on my father's side, and I was super excited about that. And then in 2016, in the springtime, we were going to go as a congregation, an American Sign Language congregation, to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, to interact with one of the congregations out there. And I was excited. At this time, I decided I wasn't interested in getting married anymore because the last man I had been interested in um, turned out to not be a nice person. He was part of the congregation, but I didn't think he was a nice person anymore. And I had a crush on him for like 3 years. Told him it didn't work out. He was dating someone. He ended up marrying her. He's been married to her for a number of years now. And by that point, like my heart was closed down. I wasn't interested in anybody, anything except to like live life, serve God, and like be happy. So I was just like in a very chill mode. And so we went on this trip. I think there was like 15 of us that went on this trip to Louisiana, Baton Rouge. And when my auntie told me about that connection, I was just like, oh my goodness. So I told my hostess beforehand that I had a connection to Louisiana Creole, and she was like, oh, that doesn't exist out here. And I was like, what? Like, she was like, yeah, that's not a term that we use out here. And I was like, oh, okay, that's confusing. So got to Louisiana, and one of the first things that someone said to me the day that I got there is a man who was grown said to me, oh, I'm old enough to be your father. And I was like, yes, you are. And he was married. Like, I found out he was married like within minutes of meeting him. And that was the first thing he had to say to me. So I was like, okay, that's weird to say. This guy must think I'm pretty or something. Like, weird. And that's not the first time a man has said that to me. Another time someone said that to me. He was like, I'm old enough to be a father. And I was like, you're older than my father. Like, and so anyway, so back to Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So he said that. I met his wife. She was cool, okay. And then as the days went on, the people in the congregation, especially like that particular married couple, and then my hostess and her friends, and who else? Yeah, the hostess and her friends, like, I started to realize that I was considered pretty there because how they were interacting with me. The hostess was super nice. Her friends were super nice. And the girlfriend of one of the friends were super nice. And I was like, that woman was beautiful. I was just like, wow. So she thought I was pretty, and she was trying not to feel, that's not the word. She was trying to show that she was a welcoming person by how she interacted with me, even though she thought I was pretty. I thought she was pretty. I thought she was beautiful. And I was just like, well, at least she's nice about it, because when people feel threatened by somebody's prettiness, sometimes they're catty, standoffish, rude, annoying, about it. And so this woman was actually like being like going out of her way to be nice to me, and I noticed it because I was like, she's beautiful and she's treating me like I'm beautiful, and we were both being nice to each other. The hostess was super nice. I thought she was beautiful too, and she was just like really great hostess. And the friends, they were nice. They were the her friends. It was two guys, and they were brothers, maybe three guys, and one of them was dating this beautiful woman. So they were all treating me nicely, and they considered me pretty, but they weren't like flirtatious or anything. They were just very, like, when we went to a restaurant to eat and I wanted to try something out, they got it for me, and they were like teasing me about stuff in like a good natured way. It was very cute. And it was just, I was just surprised that I was considered pretty there, because when I went to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, I was like, the people here are so gorgeous. There's so much diversity here. Like, I really love it. And it was just so nice. But the one thing I did find out, though, is that this man that I consider to be possibly Creole, he would not claim it. Some of us in a congregation, from my congregation where I live, we were asking him, "Oh, are you Hispanic?" And he was like, "No, but my family's been here for years, blah, blah, blah." And for some reason, he would not name anything about his ethnicity. He was just like, "No, I'm just from here," right? So he was Creole, but he didn't claim it. And so that kind of went back to the point of my hostess friend saying that, "Oh, yeah, we don't use that term here." And I was just like, this is so weird, because, like, Louisiana Creole that I learned in history in high school, maybe before high school, is from Louisiana. Like, which parts of Louisiana is it more accepted about Louisiana Creoles? Like, literally, most of the U.S., I think, knows. I don't know. I just know I learned about them, so I was very confused that this man didn't claim that. Anyway, side point. Sorry about that. So, yeah, I was considered pretty there, and I was very surprised. I was kind of like, what's the word? Somebody tried to control my interactions with her husband, and I was just like, okay, like, I'm not okay. So I had to, like, deal with that, because she didn't want me to be, like, doing ministry with him. So she said, "No, you have to do it with a different group, blah blah." And I just had to accept it. I was just trying to be as agreeable as possible, even though I was like, just wanted to be with my friends. So I had to, like, accept that. But yeah, I was considered pretty there, and I was extremely surprised, and I was struggling with my hair there because it was really humid. It was more humid there than it was in New York City, and I was just like struggling with my hair. So to be thought of as pretty and treated as pretty in Baton Rouge, Louisiana was shocking to me, because I was like stressing out. I was like, this is not good for my hair. And it could have been, I could have worked with it a little more, but I only had 5 or 6 days there, and I had to, like, get used to the humidity really fast, and I just had to do hairstyles that I normally don't do. So I was just like, okay, this is what it is. But yeah, I was treated, it's pretty over there, even though I wasn't feeling it. And then what happened? Something else happened after that. This was after Louisiana. So, let's see. Sure, I don't have anything. Okay, so I'm trying to think of something in particular. Oh, okay. So that was how I was treated in Louisiana. And then after that, I think like a year or two ago, I went to one of my Bible conventions, and some of my Nigerian American friends, I saw them again, and one of them had gotten married like a few years before that. She's more like an acquaintance, but same religion. And she had gotten married in between, and they were taking pictures outside, and I volunteered to help them take family pictures, because it was like in-laws and children and big families. So I was like helping them take pictures, and then I was like, "Ooh, can I get a picture with you?" I think her name was Natalie or something. I was like, "Can I get a picture with you guys too? Because your outfits look so beautiful." They were wearing traditional Nigerian clothing to the convention. And I was like, "Can I take a picture with you? Because I love these outfits, and I want us to have a picture together." So they were like, "Sure." So the husband took a picture of the three of us ladies that were the same age. And they said to me, like, in between the pictures, they were like, "Oh, you're so pretty." And I was like, "Thank you." And I said, "You're pretty. Like, my friends are pretty. They're beautiful." And I don't know. Prettiness is skin deep. Beauty is skin deep. But it's also like the personality just makes the looks even better. So I like definitely notice people, but when a personality doesn't work right with it, I'm just like, ooh, I don't like that. So, it's less appealing when a pretty person has a bad personality. But I yeah, I became more comfortable with considering myself pretty without like being vain about it with the Exoticals community, excuse me, with the Exoticals community, because mostly everybody's anonymous, and to feel validated by an online community that makes you feel like, yes, you can identify as being pretty or beautiful or good looking or attractive, like you can get that from somewhere, because sometimes people don't hear it a lot. Like in 2018, my mom said, "Oh, you look so pretty today," and like one particular day, I was like, "Oh, that's so cute." And I remember like growing up hearing that, but at the same time, my mom didn't downplay anything. Like when she bought a dress for herself, she bought a dress for her daughters, and we usually matched her, and it was just cute. And my mom was very willing to spend what money she had to help me get new outfits to feel good, and to help me do my hair, to like help me do my hair. So growing up, my mom like took care of me in ways to like help me to like deal with acne, to get dressed in a way that, like I said, made me feel good, do my hair in ways that made me feel good. And she was like, what's the word, supported it, even if she didn't like go out of her way to say, "Oh, you look pretty today." Oh, because my mom was so busy when I was growing up. She was so busy, so busy. But I forgot my point. Okay, so my point, back to the Exotical community, like there's nothing wrong with feeling validated to call yourself pretty or beautiful or cute or sexy because of a community online, because some people don't always have that in real life, and there's nothing wrong with having